If you've looked into building backlinks, you may have heard of PBNs, or private blog networks as they're also known. But are PBNs worth investing in, and will they genuinely increase your website's rankings? In this video, we're going to look at whether PBNs are worth building, whether they actually work, and the pros and cons of building PBNs. By the way, before we jump into the video, please make sure you subscribe if you want more link building tips and tutorials. Okay, let's jump into it. So what is a PBN? Well, a PBN stands for Private Blog Network. And this is where you buy expired URLs and then link them to the money site you want to rank. So, for example, some of these websites might be abandoned projects by other people who have already spent time building the authority of these URLs. Then you buy them once they're expiring and link them to your money site that you want to rank. And it's an easy way to get links to your site. It's in theory supposed to add authority to your site, making it easier to rank. And because you own all of these sites, they're known as a private blog network. But this is all in theory, and there are some problems, as you're about to discover. The problem is that Google doesn't like PBNs, and they go against Google's webmaster guidelines because they're black hat, and with PBNs you're essentially manipulating Google's algorithm to increase your website's rankings. The problem is that Google's algorithm is like a voting system. So the more votes, aka backlinks you have to use to your site, the higher your website's gonna rank in theory. But the problem is when you use PBNs, you're essentially corrupting the system and buying votes to increase your website's rankings. And if you're caught, you could receive a harsh algorithmic penalty to your website, which means that all the time, hard work and energy you've put into your site basically disappears overnight. And it's just a matter of time before you get caught, because Google are continually updating their algorithm to catch out people who are manipulating the system. The other thing is as well that, some people will explain, okay, there's a right way to build PBNs and this is how you do it. And you'll see a lot of videos and tutorials on this. But the problem is, you could invest that time and energy into a more white hat link building technique that's actually more sustainable and ethical in the long run for your website. You also see that, you have to be careful because when you buy backlinks on the internet, for example, with Fiverr or SEO clerks, you have to be careful because a lot of people are selling PBNs, but they won't even tell you. And that becomes a problem later down the line when you're eventually caught. Also, the other thing is as well that some SEO agencies that you work with won't tell you they're buying PBNs, and you won't realize they're building PBNs to your site until it's too late and you've received a penalty. So that's also something you have to be really careful of because, all the time, energy and hard work you've put into your site, you don't want to disappear overnight because you'll lose all the money you're making, all the rankings you have, and, all of the authority you've built so far to your site too. So what are the advantages of building PBNs? Well, personally, I don't recommend them. But in some cases, PBNs still work and you still can increase your website's rankings using PBNs. In fact, some black hat SEOs who specialize in this and do this full time know how to kind of hack the system and grow their website's rankings with PBNs. The other thing is as well that sometimes it can pass authority, but Google's gradually stamping this out with that algorithm. The other thing is as well that this is a quick way to get links to your site because essentially you don't need to earn the links. You can just build them to your site without any outreach, any marketing or any networking involved. So in theory it's quite easy to do. So what are the disadvantages of building PBNs and why don't I recommend it? Well, first of all, there's money involved with each PBN that you build. And bear in mind, you've got to build like 20 or 40 to grow your website's authority. So for example, you've got the hosting costs, you've got to buy the URL, you've got to outsource content for your PBN, and there's money involved for each of those. Also, there's a lot of time and energy involved, which is going to cost you in the long run. So for example, you've got to find an expired URL to buy, you've got to qualify it in terms of quality, you have to outsource content for it, and you have to set up the whole website. And when you do that 20 or 40 times across your whole private blog network, that can be quite time consuming. The other thing is as well that instead of investing time and money into PBNs, you could invest that same time and energy into something that's more sustainable and ethical for your website, such as building links with the skyscraper technique or networking or guest blogging. And these are all more white hat link building techniques that are going to stand the test of time and protect your website in the long run. Also, building PBNs, as I've discussed, is black hat. So it's just a matter of time before you get caught. And the problem is, if you build PBNs, you're building links to your site on a foundation that could crumble at any time, and that's not a great way to run your business. So what are the alternatives to building PBNs? Well, for example, you could invest into content, into marketing, into networking, and these are all more sustainable, ethical, and white hat link building techniques that will help your website stand the test of time. And that means your business is going to last longer, which means you're going to make more money in the long run with your business. And overall, these are better ways to build links that are going to protect your website and avoid any Google penalties in the long run. So in conclusion, PBNs are a way of buying expired URLs and then linking them to your money site to increase your website's rankings. But the problem is that Google doesn't like them, they're black hat, and you're building your business on a foundation that could crumble at any time. The other thing is as well that you have tons of link building alternatives that are more white hat and sustainable for your website, such as the skyscraper technique or the guest blogging or networking, and these are all more sustainable ways to build links to your site. So thanks for watching. Please make sure you subscribe if you want more link building tips, and let me know in the comment section below, do you build PBNs or don't you? Whether you do or you don't, let me know the reasons why in the comment section below.